I love you. He goes, I love you too. I said, everybody is asking about you and everybody loves you. He goes, oh, that's good. And I said, he goes, how are you doing?
He said that to you?
Yeah. So I said, I am okay, except I need you to get well. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, well, are you working on that? He goes, oh yeah, I'm working on that. And then he went back to sleep.
Well, that's good. That's very cognitive.
But it was so, he's like, what? He goes, how are you doing? Like,
does he have any problem with his
better than you, I should have said.
Does he have any problem with his
I have no idea. He was just laying there. He had on 8 million machines. He had on, and I was watching his heart rate. They said that he had a real irregular heart rate. So I was watching his heart rate. It was going 50 to over 100, and all these beepers were going off 50, 100, back to 80, down to 40, up to 110. It was like, oh man. And the whole thing's beeping the whole time. And I was like, I gotta get out of here because I was a wreck. He was, he wouldn't have opened his eyes if I didn't, to ask him to. I mean, he prefers to lay there, so the best thing right now is that he just rests until the 48 hours are up. He saves all his strength.
48 hours up for what?
Well, I guess they're going to try to put a pacemaker in there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Well, that would be good.
If he can have enough time without any strokes, they'll put a pacemaker in.
That'd be good.
That's what they were going to do originally, and then when Doc went to see him,
Yeah.
he saw that he had strokes, and then doctors didn't even figure it out. So he called the doctor and said, have you had a excuse me. Hello? Hey! He's got a really bad heart, and he's had strokes.
So what are we going to do today? Who's going to conduct this?
Huh? Yeah, it's really serious. They're not sure if it's going to But obviously, and pray for all the sponsees because we're all in a lot worse shape than Jim.
I know now that's straight to the heart.
Because what are you going to do without that guy, man?
I just found out today.
Oh, today?
I know, yeah, I know. That's what he would say.
I felt last week.
I said that's what he would say. He would be so mad at me for saying that. Yes, he would. So anyhow, we got the 1:30 meeting here now. Okay, thanks for calling. I love you. But they don't really want me to say which hospital. However, I was sworn to secrecy by the person who told me where he was. So. But anyhow, I talked to Doc about it too, and I said, is that a good thing? Everybody's asking me where he is, and Doc said, it's definitely a good thing that he gets no visitors. So I'm not trying to be selfish. I'm trying to think of Jim's health, and it's he's so weak right now that it's like he needs to heal really. He needs to get strong enough to get that pacemaker put in. Yeah. If he was because he might see, the whole thing is he might survive. If he was really dying, then you would tell everybody where he is because he's going to die anyway. But he might not die, so he needs a strength.
Stress.
Yeah, well, anybody would. I mean, either good or bad. He's either going to be happy to see people or upset to see people. But no matter what, he's going to be. Energy would be expressed for every person that walked in. And he's such a selfless person, like I was just saying. For him to go, how are you doing, Marilyn? Like
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, come on, stop it.
How are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm not doing good.
Okay. Good. Good. I mean, yeah.
I'm doing bad. I'm sad. I do all right until somebody mentions the word sponsor, and then I lose it because I think, how am I going to find another sponsor?
Is he your sponsor?
Yeah.
He's my sponsor.
Uh-huh.
I want my life story. You tell me later what hospital. Don't make me call every hospital to find out. That's bullshit. Don't do that.
Okay. All right, I said all right. But it's not bullshit because if everybody who loves Jim went to go see him, there'd be 500 people in the hall. Okay, welcome to the Stairways group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Marilyn. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. We're going to have a little different of a format of an AA meeting here today for the Stairways group. Have a little discussion, a little group conscience about some matters. So, because I have I asked my non-smokers to come in with the smoking section. If we, at least for the first half of the meeting, could refrain from smoking for their benefit, it would highly be appreciated because we have some serious lung issues here that really can't stand the smoke. It's not just a matter of preference, it's more of a health matter, so I would appreciate that very much. Anyway, let's start the meeting with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Boy, that sure is some special meaning to that prayer today, isn't there? Okay, who would like to read how it works? Oh, and by the way, at the sponsorship workshop, it's been taught to us that you should always carry your big book to every meeting, and when the how it works is read, you should read along with the sponsor, with how it works, and you should teach your sponsees to do the same. Go ahead.
Kenny.
Hi, Kenny.
Kenny.
Hi, Kenny.
That's how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail that thoroughly follow our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the same program. Usually men and women who are consciously capable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They think they have been born that way. They are naturally capable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands greater dishonesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from great emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our story discloses in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. You have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, and you are ready to take certain steps. And some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we begged you to be courteous and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with all cunning, baffling, and powerful. That power is too much for us. There is one who has all power, and that one is God. We can find him now. After to avail us good turning point, the acts of protection, care, and advantage. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over all their lives to become a man. Number 2, came to believe the power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. Number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God and understood it. 4, made a searching to furnace moral inventory of ourselves. Number 5, admitted to God for ourselves and letting you believe that you have nature of our wrongs. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects and bear with. Number 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Number 8, made a list of all persons being harmed, became able to make amends to them all. Number 9, make direct amends to such people whenever possible, except so to do so would injure them or others. Number 10, continued to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. Number 11, sought for prayer and meditation to feel our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will. Conscious full for us and the power to pray and help. Number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to all callers to practice these principles in all our prayers. Many of us exclaim, "What an order, I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saying that we are grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down to guide us to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. The scriptures of the alcoholic in chapter 2 of personal adventures before and after they declare three purposes. probably know you probably could read your alcohols and see that God could remove yourself.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Okay, this workshop was created to teach people how to become sponsors. And Bill Wilson said that the biggest problem in AA today is the lack of good sponsorship. And so that's why these workshops are created, so that we can teach others how to do the steps. Because our only hope is in doing the steps. That's the only form of recovery that we have. That's our only hope to put God between us and the drink, is to work these steps to eliminate character defects, that we can have a relationship with God. Because God's love is 100%, but we have blockages that keep us from God. And the steps take away those blockages so that we connect with God. Because we are powerless over alcohol. Our dilemma is that we need power. And we need a power greater than ourselves to keep us between us and the drink. And so that's the purpose of a sponsor then, is to help you to get together with God. Turn to page 100, and this is the only place that sponsorship is mentioned, and it's not even called sponsorship. In the first full paragraph, both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. And that's what we're doing by working the steps. The only way we know how to grow spiritually is to do the steps. And your sponsor then is helping you to do the steps. So the reason that I started coming to the sponsorship workshop is I didn't really understand why people needed sponsors, and especially myself. I didn't know why I would need a sponsor. I thought that if the purpose of getting a sponsor is to connect you with God, what if I just connect with God? What do I need another human being for? So I started coming to the sponsorship workshop to find out that answer. Plus I thought, if I find out that, maybe I can find a sponsor at the sponsorship workshop. So I started coming almost 2 years ago to this meeting, and the man that teaches this meeting, Jim B., he showed in the book how to do the steps and how to teach your sponsees to do the steps. And even if you're not at the point where you are ready for sponsees, you're still welcome at this meeting, because Jim always repeats how lack of good sponsorship is the biggest problem in AA. So you can see if your sponsor is doing a good job and what they should be teaching you, even if you're not ready to sponsor others, you can see, you can kind of put your sponsor, and kind of evaluate how they're working with you. And if they're not taking you through the steps, then they're not really working with you. Very wonderful relationship, because he's taught me so much, and I come every week now. I don't think I would have come every week except for he's so sneaky. He made me the treasurer of the group, so then I had to come every week because I had to collect the money. So he's a very sneaky man, but he forced me to come, and that's the reason that I'm here. Now today, in fact, last Saturday, Jim gave a meeting, and he went home. And it's weird too, because and everybody's always saying, Jim, slow down and stuff, and he gets so mad about that because he's like, I'm 75, I get to be this old by not knowing how to take care of myself, and everybody's always telling me what to do, and I don't like it, and these meetings keep me alive, and I'm so happy to help people, and I need it, and, but yesterday after the meeting Saturday, I said to him, look, I know you don't like to be told what to do and stuff, but you gonna rest after this meeting today? You look a little tired. And he said, yeah, actually I am. I'm going home to rest. And so then next thing I know, I'm coming to the 7:30 meeting. I walk in the door and they go, you're doing the meeting. And I'm like, what? So he never called me. I guess what happened was when he went home, he started getting really severe stomach aches and vomiting, and he called his doctor, and the doctor told him to go to the hospital. Okay, so he's been in the hospital ever since, and it took about 4 days for them doing tests and him vomiting. He couldn't eat, wouldn't eat. He was getting a little delirious and stuff. So finally they figured out that he needed a pacemaker a couple of days ago. And there were very few people that have seen him at the doctor's request and at the family's request. He's been on a no visitor. One of my bosses is his power of physical, medical power of attorney. And so he told me, to tell me where Jim was, and I said, please. He said, I'll only tell you where Jim is if you swear you will tell no one else. So I did that, I only went against that one time this week, and that was I have one of our fellow stairway group members, Doc Howard, who comes to this meeting a lot. I think he's with Jim right now. Is a surgeon. So, I don't know if any of you have experience with the medical people in the medical field, but they're really overworked and they don't know all the facts, and sometimes they don't look and cross-check to make sure they're doing the right thing. Anyhow, I just felt really uncomfortable having Jim in the hospital without, because I'm certainly not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. But Doc is a surgeon, so I told Doc where he was, and sure enough, he went there, and as soon as he saw him, he said, there's something wrong, and he called his doctor and said, have you given this man a neurological test? And they said no, and he said, well, I suggest you do that, and they did, and here he had a couple strokes. They were going to put a pacemaker in that day, but then when they found out that he had strokes, obviously they couldn't put the pacemaker in because the strokes have to heal before you can do any kind of a medical procedure. So he's got this weak heart, and what happens is the way that these people are described, the doctors are describing it to me, is the heart's so weak that it doesn't pump the blood out. It just kind of keeps it in there, so the blood just kind of like swirls around in there and it makes little clots. So then the clots escape into the body and they make strokes. I think it's a layman way to put it. So anyhow, so here's the deal. Jim is in very serious medical condition. But I truly believe in miracles. I believe in the power of God. It goes either way too. You've heard of people where they're going in for something simple like stitches or something, and they die. And then other people who were told there's absolutely no way you're going to live, and then they live. So it's all up to God. It looks to me whether you live or die, and this is definitely up to God. But every day it's up to God whether we live or die. None of us are given tomorrow, right? Okay. So anyhow, needless to say, I've been a wreck. I went in the hospital the other day, and the nurse, he was like coughing. So I ran to get the nurse. I'm like, is he coughing? Is he throwing up? And she's like, he's just coughing. She goes, you need something. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I need to get better. Oh man. So anyway, the reason I told you this is we're all part of his family, and this is his group, and just to let you know that, he knows that you all love him. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was there for about 5 minutes, and I wanted to make sure to tell him that everybody loves him. And but I went in there, and he was sleeping so soundly I didn't want to wake him up. And his doctor went by, and the exact time I was there, it was no coincidence, and I said, talk to her, and she, saying how sick he was, but she had hope, so that's good, there's a lot of hope here. And so I said, well, I'm going to go, he's sleeping so soundly. She goes, no, wake him up, so I'm like, I don't want to wake him up. So she's like, no, he'll go right back to sleep, wake him up. So I said, he's like, hey. And I said, hey, everybody, immediately, because I didn't know if he was going to fall right back asleep, I said, everybody loves you other people. So I said, well, me? Well, I'm okay, Jim, but, you know, why don't you get better and I'll be perfect? And he said, oh, okay. So I said, well, are you working on that? He goes, oh, yeah, I'm working on that. And he went right back to sleep, so he knows you love him. I made sure to tell him. So right now, okay, here's the way I want to put it. Right now, because we do have a lot of hope that he's going to recover, because he's a
Stubborn.
stubborn and strong-willed guy. You know, he's got a lot of strength, and he's got a lot of God strength, and he's got a lot of personal, physical strength.
Bunk.
That it's really very possible that he's going to survive. So that's why we would ask that no one would contact the hospital or him directly at this point, because we feel that he needs every ounce of energy that he has should be directed towards healing enough that he can get the pacemaker in. Because once he gets the pacemaker in and the heart starts pumping, like everything's going to get a lot better. But until that point, he's extremely weak. Okay, so we're asking that nobody contact him, and it's not to exclude anyone, but this is 100% for Jim's health. That, in fact, I'm not going to see him this weekend at all, because I'm trying to. I figure the way I look at it is I got Doc on the case, I got Howard down there, and there's an actual professional surgeon that is making sure that he gets right health, and that somebody that loves him as much as us is there. So I just, you know, every time the buzzer rings or something, I'll look at it's ringing constantly. I'm like, oh, you know, he needs to like open his eyes and see my face like that, right? So anyway, so we're asking for no visitors. However, if you want to send cards, the way that you can do it is you can send it to our office. And then when Danny, who's his medical power of attorney, goes to visit him, he can take the cards there and read them to Jim and show them to Jim, because, you know, it's not that he's not getting visitors. Mind you, he's got no visitors, and there's about 15 people going to see him. Okay, this is ridiculous, right? So, but we don't need 60. We don't need 100, because if everybody who went to go see Jim, there'd be 500 people in this hospital, and he wouldn't get any rest. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
It's not that I'm trying to be cruel or selfish, because you're going, how come you get to see him and I don't get to see him? Well,
In Maryland, people bring germs into hospitals, and he's in no position to get anything.
yeah, that too, right? You know, so I don't know why, and I'm not going to see him all weekend. You know,
What's the
and thank God I have enough sense to call Doc up, and so I feel like I did something good. So there's a lot of hope. You know, I haven't heard any beeps today. I got all these people that I have sworn that if anything changes, that they would call me, and nobody's called me today, so this is all good. And Doc has assured me that the more that time passes, that the more chance he's got, and time is passing as we speak. Okay, so we're all, you know, I'm hopeful. And also Jim told me that when we mourn, I keep hearing, you know, because I start crying all the time, and of course I got to hear him yapping in my ear, telling me that to mourn people is selfish, that I'm just sad for myself, and that if I'm really grateful for having Jim for a sponsor, then I will do what he did and pass along his message. You know, it's really funny because I didn't know he was in the hospital last Saturday. I didn't find out till Monday. And Sunday morning, I spoke here at the 101 Club, and I was talking to how much Ray helped me. This guy who had 45 years of sobriety. He was 90 years old when he died, and I was talking how much he helped me. And I said, if you do 12-step work right, you never die. Because the things that you teach, others will continue to teach, others to continue to teach, and you'll never die, you'll live forever. And look at Ray, and here I am talking about him 2 years later, and he's still alive because I'm talking about him. So then I I went to some meeting the other day, and I'm crying and crying, and some lady comes up to me, and she goes, "Oh, I love what you said about that you never die if you do 12-step right." And I'm like, hello, we have to, whether, no matter what, we all have to carry the message on, because that's what Jim did. He would certainly not want us to stop on his account, and no matter what, it's going to take him a couple of months, I think, to recover. So we have to continue. That's the way I look at it. The reason I wanted you all in this meeting is I wanted some kind of a group conscience on whether or not you want to continue the sponsorship workshop, because the way it looks to me is it's going to be a couple of months before you'll see Jim up here doing it again, because he's got to get a pacemaker in, and I'm not a doctor or a nurse.
Marilyn, do you mind? I got here a little late. Could you tell me exactly what happened to Jim? Did he have a heart attack, or what was he doing?
Okay, I'll tell you. Jim felt like weak his stomach. It took him 4 days to figure out, to finally realize that they had to put a pacemaker in. So So the heart is like beating so little that what happens is the blood stays in the heart and it makes little balls.
Right, so he had a stroke?
Several. Now they got to wait for the strokes to heal before they can put the pacemaker in. Yeah. So like I said, time's our friend. We're waiting for the strokes to heal. But I don't know. I mean, does it take, like, after you get a pacemaker in, when are you up and running again?
It depends on different people, their bodies are different.
What's?
I think having Howard down there is the best thing.
Oh yeah.
And if everybody pray, that's what we can do.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm just saying, like, it would be like at least a month before I'll be sitting here again, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah. All right. All right. So in the meantime, should we continue the sponsorship workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a yes? Any votes on? Anybody want their Saturdays free? I mean, you're allowed to say that too.
Is this a group conscience?
Yes, we're having a group conscience, because Jim taught me that you don't have to be a member of the group to vote on group conscience. And we'll have another one for the 7:30, but you guys are the sponsorship workshop at 1:30, so we're going to vote on whether or not to continue the sponsorship workshop, if that's okay with everybody. Shall we continue the sponsorship workshop?
Yeah.
Anyone? Okay, so it's okay. It's pretty. Everybody wants to continue. Okay, good. Now, well, how would you like to do it? If I know I'm going to do this, then I'll prepare something. Would you like me to do it? Any other suggestions for other people to do it? Because if somebody else wants to do it, or we can take turns. We can have a sign-up sheet. Different people do it every week.
Can we take turns?
I don't have the experience with doing it. You do. You've gone through this. How many
We're going to
times?
take turns. If we take turns, it's going to be people who have gone through the sponsorship,
Right,
Alberta.
I haven't done that.
Okay,
So,
so.
no, I'm not saying I want to.
No, if someone wants to, who's been through the sponsorship workshops, I would love that.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
This is the same.
Billy.
My name is Billy, and I'm an alcoholic.
Billy.
Hey, Billy.
I cannot at this moment commit to doing it every Saturday. I
Okay.
can certainly do it once a month.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I'd be happy to do that. However, if you could give me, I'll give you my number. If you can call me 2 weeks in advance or so, a week in advance, and let me know where you're at.
Perfect.
I can do something
You
like
said
that.
taking turns.
I would love that. Okay, so Billy, so far, I'll do it sometimes. Billy will do it sometimes. Anybody else that's been through the sponsorship workshop that would like to be on the,
When if I can be so bold as to make a suggestion.
Please.
For us people who have been availed to Jim's sponsorship, and for someone like me who's become a student of the Big Book, and certainly you and other people, if we follow a certain format that Jim has been following, which is to go through the Big Book almost page by page,
Exactly.
and go through the ideas that are there, and then if we know, for instance, if I know where you stopped and you call me, I stopped on page 27 and we're going to be covering 4 more pages or something like that.
right.
And then, I can make a study of it and then give to you what I know. And I think that if we move along sort of like that, each one of us taking a section of the Big Book that we're already fundamentally that we know, then
Right.
it'll go all right in the meantime.
Perfect. Okay, Billy, good.
I think that might be good.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll get together with you and do it as much, because how many years have you been going to gyms?
Years.
4 years he's been going to gyms meetings.
5
5
years.
years, so we're gonna run with this and make Jim proud of us.
Another suggestion, once in a while, I'd like to hear Jim's voice, so we have the CDs with his. That's why we can listen to that.
All right, that's a good, that's a suggestion, that's a vote, hey. No, I like, that's a good idea.
I did that at the Pompano Beach Shoot one time when Jim
What do you
was sick.
think? So we'll play one of Jim's tapes every week? Every month or something?
Once a month.
Take a vote.
All right, let's vote on that. Shall we, what do you say about playing one of, do you have like a speaker system where we could?
Yeah, I can bring a stereo in.
Okay. Listen to Jim's CD once a month. Sound good to everybody?
How are we gonna do that? I mean, you're gonna pick one, you're gonna pick one that we're on or close to it, or?
Yeah, I can do. I got everything except the 11th chapter. I don't have the 11th chapter Jim reading, which hopefully I will someday.
Be back by then.
Okay, good. All right, so we got, anybody else? Anybody else want to, did you want to take up a meeting?
One time, once a month.
Okay, sounds good, David. Anybody else?
But I don't want to be official.
Okay. All right, make sure I get your numbers afterwards, and so we can correlate and. All right, good. So anyway, let's. Any other questions? Like, have I?
You've done a very, very good job of performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Exceptional.
Okay.
Be back.
It's like all week I've been pretty good. Everything's okay up until people mention the word sponsorship, and then I start crying, thinking, how am I going to find another sponsor? But you would never find another sponsor like Jim. But the whole point is what God told me in this after I thought that was that Jim doesn't keep me sober. The point of his was for him to connect me with God. And in reality, if we're going to talk about other people keeping me sober, even more than Jim, it's others that I would help. Because it's only by me helping other people that I stay sober. So, on that note, and that's how I bring it back to sponsorship, let's take a break and let's come back and reconvene in 10 minutes. When how it works is read, you should be a power of example in the room and open it up and read along, because then others might start doing this. And the entire recovery process is located in how it works. That's why we read it at every meeting. So if you read it at every meeting yourself personally, you'll show people how important it is. So it's a good way that you can do 12-step work. It's funny because people are always saying, Jim, he's always like showing how all the fallacies that are spewed out in the meetings, that not everything you hear in a meeting is true. And the way that he puts it is the way to test what you hear in meetings is where is God in that equation, and where is God in that equation, and where is that in the big book? So when people say stuff like, I stay sober by emptying ashtrays and putting chairs back in the table and stuff like that, that is not in the big book. Nowhere in the big book does it say anything about a service like of that type is going to keep anyone sober. Now, service of that type obviously has to be done. We have physical requirements, but it is not a catalyst to helping keep people sober. It is not actual 12-step work. Thus, it's not ever going to solely keep anybody sober. However, doing things like reading how it works in meetings is showing people how important the book is and how important the steps are. And so that is a physical way that you can do 12-step work in a meeting. A lot more than empty an ashtray. And come January 1st, you won't have any ashtrays to empty. So then what are you going to do? Huh? You found one? What's that?
This is something that's bothering me. I guess I'll ask you.
Oh, come on. We want to hear it. I love controversy.
And a vision for you.
Okay.
164, last page.
All right. Okay, I'm ready.
Second full paragraph. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only little. God will constantly disclose more to you and us. So the new things that come up, they kind of, 164,
Okay.
I kind of noticed that I have to come to these meetings, and how there's new things that come up. Yeah, new things that come up in the program. It says right here, God will constantly disclose more to you and us. You know?
Okay. What's your what problem do you have with that?
Like how it says, everything. If it's not in the big book, it's not true.
Oh, I see what you
And it
mean.
says right there, more will be revealed to us.
Ah, all right.
I just thought I'd bring that up and throw it out there.
Okay. Well,
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean,
But it says,
and I think that
in the beginning, like you must do this, and then it kind of at the end, it kind of leaves it open. It's just suggestive. You know?
well, the way that Jim has always put it, it suggested that you pull the ripcord when you jump out of an airplane on your parachute. I think what this particular thing is referring to is spiritual growth. Is not all spiritual growth is found in this book. As far as referring to like people of religion have a lot of things to tell us and stuff, the verses about that you can grow spiritually past the things that are found in this book too. I think it has more to do with spiritual growth. But as far as doing the steps exactly, there's so many times in this book where it says, exactly how we did it, precisely how, right, that I think it says that you can learn more about God as you live. Personally, that paragraph just says to me that God will reveal himself more and more in your life and will show you things. Anybody have any suggestions with that?
You know, in the original draft of the big book, Bill wanted to use the expression, actually I have a copy of the copy, but it said these are the directions that we follow. Instead of saying this is the suggestions, these are the directions. And they made a change to soften it. But as Marilyn was saying, if you look in this paragraph, the rest of the paragraph, it's talking about the spiritual growth of the person. God will constantly disclose more to you and us. And in the very next sentence is, ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick, and answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. And I've heard it said many a time that all the answers are in the big book. And then someone would say, well, yeah, the answer's in there, and if you don't find the answer directly in there, it will direct you to the power that's going to give you the answer. So really the ultimate thing is, as has been said, is to get in contact with your higher power, to have that, and God will reveal to us. You know, there may be some work that you're supposed to do that I'm not supposed to do. Or some, maybe you have, God wants you to be some other place that you're going to help somebody that I couldn't. So there is that, we're not robots, there's an individual uniqueness about all of us. And so getting in touch with that higher power, having a relationship with God, for me, an alcoholic of my type, That's the only thing that could keep me sober. I mean, personally, some people say different things, but it is about that individual spirituality, because it's really, I mean, a person doing that morning meditation, doing that on a faithful basis, it'll change the person. It'll change it as, it's changing me, it'll change you, it'll change anyone. That's all I have to share.
That's a really good point. If you read the whole paragraph, the whole thing, it talks about ask how you can help others, and I think David hit on that with the uniqueness of how you can help others is going to be in this book. I suppose somebody out there was told by God that they're going to empty ashtrays and it's going to help them, but I just feel sorry for them on January 1st. Okay. They're going to have to do something else.
Make it litter.
One of the slogans that I like is don't analyze, utilize.
There you
You
go.
don't have to know everything, just accept it. Utilize it.
Yeah. No, I mean, he had a good point, good point over there, but...
It's just something that was on my mind. I figured I'd ask.
No, it's good though. But I think instead of focusing on sentence 1, you could focus on sentence 4. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. And perhaps not all the suggestions of how you can help people are in this book. All right, now, I don't think I'm going to let anybody answer any more questions. Oh, here's Doc.
Yeah, Doc.
Let's see if Doc's got any word from the...
Marilyn, would you think that if somebody didn't have 100% faith in God that they were a little sick? Maybe? Maybe that's what it's talking about here. For the man who's still sick, not completely trusting God.
Oh, yeah, different levels. This meeting has been unique because first we had like a group conscience, the future direction that we want to go in is while Jim's recovering and stuff. So that's why we're all in here together rather than having a smoking and a non-smoking room. So the smokers are refraining for us today. And I told them about your involvement with Jim's, with Jim. And so we would like to hear from you if you have anything to add about your feelings of what's going on with Jim. Have you seen him today? Or?
No, I'm going down after this.
Oh, you are? Did you see him last night? Okay. And was he talking to you or anything? Or yeah.
Jim's his old comic book, good-natured, spiritual self. So when I had gotten there was a lot of traffic going down there last night. So I got there and it was late because I got held up on 95. When I got there, I held his hand and I wasn't going to wake him. I was just holding his hand. So it's interesting, just like a little baby, you hold his hand and he still grabs mine. And so I just let him continue to sleep. And then the nurse came in and she started giving him a pill and rubbing his back and everything. So once she did that, I said, hello to him. And he said to me, hello, but he won't open his eyes. It's tough for him to do that. So I wasn't going to force him or anything. So I started talking to him, and as I was doing that, he'll talk to anybody, Jim. And Jim, do you know who this is? Oh, yeah. Who? Well, I don't know. So then I told him who I was. Oh, good, I'm glad you're here. Jim says that to everybody.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. So I was starting to talk to him a little bit more. And then he realized who I was when I told him that everybody was praying for him and sends their love. And that if we needed a room for everybody who would come to see him, we need an auditorium. Because the nurses that are there now think that he has a lot of visitors. And it's just 4 or 5 people that are there just who are, helping make some decisions with him right now. And there are just hundreds who would like to see him. But he sends his best and his love. And I was saying to him, I was only there a little while. I said to him, Jim, I can see that you want to go ahead. And he said, yeah, the doctor told me that I need to go ahead and just rest. So I said, okay, are you resting? He goes, no. He goes, I should be resting. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and let you rest, Jim. Yeah, but no one leaves me alone.
Right.
So, it's the darndest thing. He really just seems to be continuing to just nod off and just rest because he looks just exhausted. But no matter if you give him some ice, thank you. You want something to drink? Yeah, real dry. So he does everything with the same courtesies that he always would if he'd say anything. Yes, please, no, please, thank you, everything. But you can tell he's just exhausted. And this is touch and go right now for a couple days to see what's going on. And so we're all praying for him and seeing that he pulls through.
Thank you.
My name's Tom, alcoholic.
Hey, Tom.
And I built a website on Jim, and I put a link on there where you can send him a note. And it's at www.12stepsforEveryone.com, all one word. And you can go there, and it's a logbook you go to, and you can leave a message. I don't even think anybody knows about it, but we can copy that and then give it to him on later. What?
What's the address?
www.12, the number 12, 12, and then spell out stepsforEveryone.com. 12stepsforEveryone.com. And then I'll give all the letters to Marilyn, and she can get them. That's all.
I can tell you one thing that was interesting just the other day is, he looks weak, but he's a strong dude. And when people are working with him and his nurses and such, and I'll go in and tell them, because it's funny how no matter what position we hold in life, when you're stripped down and you're in need of medical care and you're in one of those darn, medical gowns laying in bed and you're weak and, like I say, in need of care, you look helpless and needy, so nobody really knows what you did or were doing outside. So we'll tell people who are there, you're talking to a 6'4" ex-Marine GI instructor who also happened to have been a Beverly Hills power driving attorney who happens to command the respect of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people across the country, and thousands right here in the backyard who are just not only pulling for him, but he's changed their lives and how much he means to everybody. And so this isn't, it's funny how much he means to me and to all of us here. And so it's not, a 75-year-old man who's having a cardiac problem, except you're just laying here. If people could be here who want to be here, like I say, you need a little auditorium for people's sake. So it's not just somebody laying here who's sick. You've got to realize how much he represents to everybody. And all of a sudden, like the nurses are taking aghast and taken back a bit that how much and how important he is to everybody who he represents. It's not just another elderly person who's sick. It's like, you've got a commander here, as I was calling the professor. You've got somebody really here who means a lot to everybody. So don't dare start to think that you're ever going to slack off on taking care of him. I'll kick you in the butt. And so they start to get the idea. And it's just very different. You have to relate to them because it's just another person on the ward. No, it's not just another person on the ward. And so when we go ahead and speak to Jim, and speaking to some of the caretakers, you listen to him, he goes, I'm not giving up, not giving up. So that's the sort of spirit I'd like to hear from him laying there, And he was talking to somebody just the other day, and it was like, all right, we'll get me in a wheelchair and get me to the office, and somebody will push me around or something. So I could always see it like, I like to be I'm a historian for World War II, and I could see him on the beaches in Normandy. Well, get me up there and push me around, I'll be all right, And so he's a fighter. He's truly a Semper Fi Marine fighter. He's not giving up at all. So let's just remember him in our prayers and just pray hard for him because he's not giving up at all. As he would say right now, truly, what's being done is being done. I think they're up on the diagnosis. He's had some problems with his heart. He's had a weak heart. And now they're watching what's going on with that, some episodes of what's going on with some problems in his brain right now from some blood clots that seem to have flickered off from his heart. And now the rest is in God's hands. And the next couple of days are very vital to what happens. And but he's clear, he's lucid, he's strong in all his extremities, and now we pray and ask God that he's in his prayers, that's all.
Next time.
He's a fighter. Big time fighter. I love that.
I'm so happy that Doc's down there, right? Isn't that great?
Yes.
And I know that Danny's really said to me that you're a godsend, Doc, so everybody really appreciates you going there. I think that God made you a doctor just so you could help Jim at this time.
Glad to do it.
By exceptionality.
But I know it really comforts me. Because I'm not going to go down there all weekend. Knowing that you're going down there, I feel like, it's being taken care of. And so neat that you talked to the nurses. Who would have thought about doing that? He's got the 38 medallion though. Here he's got all these things on his chest, all this stuff, and here's his medallion sticking there. Right?
So let him keep it on?
Yeah, they let him keep it. Well, what, are you going to take it off of him?
Yeah, usually.
He'll chop your hand off.
Yeah, the nurses asked him about it, and he loves to tell the story. He's so proud of that, So then people understand where he's coming from. He just beams from cheek to cheek, from ear to ear with a smile. And he's really proud of his 38-year medallion, so he's telling them the whole story. So that keeps him going. Believe it or not, that really keeps him going. And if anything, who knows what will happen in the future. Just that whole story and how much he means to everybody and how much everybody means to him. And he was just saying, somebody said to him the other day that AA will keep going, etc. And he said, I know it'll keep going, but in his heart, this meant so much to him to be here. That was his life.
Right.
So I hope he gets back.
Right, we do too.
Even if he just sits there like a professor emeritus.
Yeah, maybe we'll just have some more questions or discussions about, I don't know, it's, like I was saying, when you read how it works in a meeting, and you're actually looking at following along, it focuses you to the steps of the program, plus it's teaching others how to do the program, keeping them involved in the book. And then maybe they'll bring a book. Because all the answers are found in the book. Now that guy's gone, I can say that and I wouldn't be. all the answers are found in this book. So if you can convey to sponsees or fellow AAs, whether they're your sponsees or not, that this book is important by you bringing it to every meeting and by you reading it along with how it works, you're doing a great service for AA. That's 12-step work right there. All right, so let's just read a little bit. If you have any comments, we're open for discussion today. Page 58, how it works. Now, the very first word, rarely, some say that this is the one word that Bill would have changed to never. So I like to put that there because it's rarely, but more along the lines of never. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Thoroughly, who has done what we did, the way that we did it, which is defined in this book. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. How can a person not give themselves to this simple program? By not doing the steps. Right? Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. I used to think that I was one of these people. But I think that if you're really one of these people, you can't even think that thought that maybe I'm one of these people because you're so dishonest.
If you think that, it's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. If you think that you're one of these people, it's a good sign because you're capable of knowing what the difference between right and wrong, of what honest and dishonest is. Whereas I think they're talking about people who just don't know the difference between right and wrong, who are people who are pathological liars. I've worked for a couple of these people who tell a lie for no reason. Like, you can't figure out any reason why they should be lying. It doesn't make any beneficial to them, but they're just lying just because they it's a part of them to lie rather than tell the truth.
But Marilyn, it makes sense because in my generation, people were told not to tell what goes on between the door, not to tell what goes on in the house, not to tell, not to do, and to be social. And they were afraid to tell what's going on in the house, to be social and be accepted. They made up stories so that they have to talk about because they thought they were going to be punished if they tell the truth.
Right. The stigma of being an alcoholic at that point.
Whatever goes on, if they're, the husband is an alcoholic and he beats his wife and they're on welfare, whatever. So don't tell anyone. So to have friends, they have to tell friends something. They're afraid to show themselves or tell themselves, and it becomes like everything else, like drinking, it becomes a habit. And going through those steps, they see, they pull it off, they pull it, there is no reason, they don't have to be afraid of telling the truth anymore. Nobody's going to beat them up, nobody's going to think less of them, if they tell the truth, and then it starts coming out. But they have to admit it first, that they have this problem.
Right. So it's the thing that it says of being honest with themselves. That's the important part of the program, is that you're honest with yourself. To thine own self be true, the medallions say. And then it says there are such unfortunates. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They're naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. The chances are less than average. Like I said, if you think that you might be one of these, you're not, because you are seeing what's the difference between right and wrong, and this says that this person can't distinguish between right and wrong, and so if you're wondering if you are, then you're not. It's people these people I would think that they're okay. These people that they're talking about.
You don't know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah, right. Their chances are less than average. There are those two who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. Now that may be you. Because I think that one's definitely me. But many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. So there you go. So for us who, aren't in the first category because they're going to think they're okay. Those who think, oh, I'm really messed up, who have grave emotional and mental disorders, it's possible, but God is a God of miracles, and we are all miracles here. And if we do these steps, we can recover. Our blockages might be great, the things that keep us from God, but these steps can connect us with God, even if we do have severe problems. And it's getting away from self. I think that grave emotional disorders is just a real bad case of being really, really selfish. Because you can look at things, like the old saying, you can look at things half empty or half full, And I said to somebody once, they said something was half empty, and I said, boy, you're really negative. And they said, no, I'm realistic. I said, isn't it realistic, though, that it's half full too? So why do you look at the negative part of that realism? So I think when we have grave emotional disorders, if they're grave because we are not looking for hope, we're not looking for solution, we're just looking at the problem, we're just looking at ourselves and how much it affects us. Like this thing with Jim, all week I've been just like so depressed, and it's like I'm selfishly looking at this, because he really helps me a lot. But I mean, it's like right now, God wants, I believe, because somebody read the St. Francis prayer this morning, and I truly believe that right now God wants me to comfort rather than to be comforted. He wants me to help others, because Jim taught me that that's what I'm supposed to do, is help others. And Jim also taught me that that's where I'm going to get my greatest joy in life, is by helping others. So then won't it be the thing that's going to help me through a difficult situation like Jim's illness? Helping others. And people really need, people are, not taking Jim's illness well, including me. And so there's a lot of opportunity each and every one of us have to comfort others right now. And we need to comfort others rather than worrying about going to see Jim, because he's fine. He's in the hospital. He's not even thinking about it. It's all of us that are freaking out. So we're the ones that need help right now. So, yeah.
Comfort others if they want to be comforted. Some people's favorite pastime is to be miserable.
That's true, Karen.
And we waste our time, we waste our energy, we waste, so we have to get on with it to someone that truly, really and truly wants our help, and then we give it wholeheartedly.
Point.
Start knocking our heads against the stone wall is crazy.
You're not kidding, Karen. Absolutely. So many people love to wallow in their misery. And Jim says that self-pity is the number one ugliest of all the character defects, because not only does it block you from God, but it blocks you from others. Because nobody wants to be around somebody full of self-pity. So, that's a very good point.
Plus, that would release them.
Right. So there's hope for us, because many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Because it takes honesty to do these steps. It comes as a gift as a result of working these steps. So many people think that they need to get their thinking right before they can do the steps. But it's a matter of doing the right action, and then you'll get the right thinking. When we take right action, we get right thinking. When you do those steps, your mind will be restored to sanity. Okay, now, next sentence. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. Now, how do you think we can find out, our stories? How do we find out what they're talking about in this sentence where it says our stories? How do we get to these stories?
Being willing to be honest with it.
No, how do we... Huh? What?
Those stories are in the big book.
Hey, exactly. In other words, read the book, okay? We cannot get the benefit of these stories unless we read the book. Now, there's a few stories in the front part of the book. There's stories like Jim and Fred and, the jaywalker. Crazy. No, please, this is a free-for-all today. I need all the help I can get today. I'm wounded.
This is healing.
This is healing, right.
It's a healing meeting.
It's a healing meeting, right. We have to heal us. But anyway, but most of the stories are in the back of the book. So when it says our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now, you need to read the book to be able to get the benefit of that. Okay, so read the book. Now, if you have decided you want what we have, what do you think we have? What do we have? Yeah, you do. No, actually, I think that what we have is God's power. Because we have a power other than what other alcoholics don't have power. Powerlessness is the dilemma. So what do we have different than what other alcoholics don't have? I think we have God's power. So it's, if you have decided you want God's power and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. In other words, I want that power, and I'm willing to go to any length to get it. Now, the only length we know, the only path we know to get to God's power is to do the steps. Now, there might be further reinforcement of getting closer to God through other paths. But the only way we know to get rid of our character defects so we can connect with God is by doing the steps. Now, in the word then there, it says, then you are ready to take certain steps. That then should mean now. Because if you have decided you want God's power and are willing to do the steps, now you're ready to take certain steps. The problem one of the things that Jim has a problem with is things that people say in meetings that have nothing to do with the big book or nothing to do with God. And one of the things is that people should take their time with the steps. Don't worry about the steps. I'll tell you when it's time to do the steps. Don't go into the steps too quickly. Just keep coming and don't go into the steps. And maybe you should do the steps 1 a year, I've heard. Or, right? Wow. Whoa. Or 1 a month or even, whatever. It says do them right now. The big book tells us to do them right now. It says then you're ready to take certain steps. So anybody that tells you, if you're a sponsor, like I was telling you before, the sponsorship workshop is for finding out if your sponsor is telling you the right thing. If your sponsor is telling you to wait on the steps, then maybe you should find somebody else who will help you through the steps in the meantime. I'm not going to be so bold as to tell you to fire your sponsor, but I do think that the only way you're going to get to finding God is to do the steps. So I'll say that much. And Jim's not here to stop me if I say something. I feel like a little kid out without mommy watching me. Daddy. All right, at some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. Now, which of those steps do you think that most people balk at?
4 and 5.
4 and 5, right? Man, those are killers.
8 and 9.
8 and 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, having to have to make those amends.